everybody, I'm JJ Johnson. You're watching Reality Survival. So today what I wanted to do is just talk with you a little bit about bear spray versus regular self-defense OC or pepper spray. I recently did a video that talked about wasp spray versus pepper spray, and in the comments of that video a whole bunch of people, like more than a handful, there was quite a few that were under the impression that bear spray is stronger than self-defense OC spray. And that makes perfect sense when you think about it, because you think, a bear, it's got to be pretty powerful to stop an angry bear coming at you and all that kind of stuff. But in fact, there's not actually a whole lot of truth to that. There's some truth to it in a certain way, and I'll kind of try to explain that a little bit. So here's the deal with bear spray. Bear spray is considered by a pesticide by the EPA because definition of pesticide according to the EPA is something along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing here, but anything that you're using to repel insects or animals or something like that. So obviously a bear is an animal, and so you're using it to repel the animal, so they classify it as pesticide. So because it's classified by the EPA as pesticide, it's also regulated by them. And there was an interagency grizzly bear committee, I think is what it is, that basically did some research on it, and they tried to lay forth their recommendations for what bear spray and how it should be regulated and what it should be to be the most effective as possible. And in that study, or in that recommendation, they basically came up with that it should be 1 to 2% of oleoresin capsicum. So that it was 1 to 2% of that. That's the OC that's in it. And they also call it CRCs, which I forget exactly what that stands for, but it's essentially the same thing. It's all the hot stuff that makes bear spray and pepper spray hot. And so they regulated that to 1 to 2%. They suggested that it has to be, I want to say 7.9 ounces at least. They also said that it needs to shoot at least 25 feet, and then it also has to have a trigger pull of at least 6 seconds long. So if you empty it all at once, it's at least 6 seconds, and it comes out in a fog style pattern. And I'm just going off the top of my head here, so if I'm a little off on my numbers, please forgive me. I don't have any notes or anything today. I'm just going off of what I was reading earlier. So that is what bear spray is. And bear spray, all the labels and everything like that have to be approved by the EPA, and they have to have an EPA number on them, and it'll say the percentage of OC spray of the OC that's in it. And so it's very well regulated, and it's also very effective for bears. They did a study, I think it was 10 or 12 years in Alaska, and 98% of people who used bear spray against bears in Alaska came away uninjured by the bear. So it works very well for that. Now, the question that we have at hand is bear spray a better option for deterring people, in a self-defense kind of situation? And the answer to this is not in a one-on-one situation, but potentially with a crowd situation. So let me explain this a little bit. So in a one-on-one situation, self-defense pepper spray is not considered a pesticide, and there is currently, based on the information I can find, there is currently no governmental body that is regulating the OC content in self-defense pepper spray. Now, the highest that I've seen it is 10%, but there's apparently no industry standards for exactly how this is measured. So, because oleoresin capsicum is the pepper byproduct that they use, But different kinds of OC, since it's coming from an organic material, different kinds of OC can have different amounts of heat in it. Now, pepper sprays are generally, they can be also measured in what's called Scoville heat units, SCH. And basically I don't remember what exactly it is. There's a whole scale of it, but a green bell pepper is 0 Scoville heat units, and I don't remember, like a habanero is like 15 million or something. I don't remember exactly what it is, but something along those lines. The point is that there's a scale. So when you're buying, the things that you need to consider when you're buying self-defense pepper spray or OC spray or mace or whatever you want to call it, is you need to look for the highest percentage of OC that you can find, which I think, as far as I know, it's 10% on any ones that I've seen. And you also need to look for the highest possible Scoville heat units. And that is going to give you the most effective pepper spray against people. Okay? And so you can see, if you have bear spray at 1 to 2%, and then you have the self-defense spray at 10% or so, you can see why pepper spray is more effective against other humans in a self-defense kind of situation. The downsides, so let's talk a little bit about the downsides. The downsides to the self-defense spray is obviously that you don't have the volume that you do with bear spray. You also don't have the distance, the shooting 25 plus feet. And the reason for that is that it's because the projectant that's in them, is not going to shoot as far when you don't have as much pressure in there, as big as much amount. So with the self-defense spray, you generally are only going to have enough, for probably one person at one attack kind of thing. Maybe you could get a second one in there if you just happen to get the guy just right in the first, squirt or whatever. But chances are you're only going to have enough for one. But it's a more intense burn, and it affects the respiratory system directly. It makes them, close their eyes instinctively. It's very hard to breathe. You have short, shallow breaths and stuff. And if you were using a bear spray in a situation like that, it's not going to be as intense. It's not going to be as immediate of an effect. And so it very well may not work as good. Now, what situation could bear spray be good for? My opinion is that in an SHTF kind of situation, I wouldn't recommend it while we have normal society, probably. But, for an emergency or something like that, if you had bear spray with you, using it to disperse crowds could potentially be somewhat effective. Because the crowds basically are not focused individually on you per se, and they're not like laser focused on attacking you. They're just there for the moment and all that kind of stuff. But spraying a bear spray across a crowd of people could potentially cause them to panic and then scatter. And you have more volume and more distance to be able to affect more people and that kind of stuff. So that is a potential option for using it in a self-defense way that might be effective. But you just have to go into it with the mindset and understanding and knowing that it is not as effective as self-defense pepper spray. The other thing that you have to worry about in a situation where, like right now, where civil society is going on, there is rule of law and all that kind of stuff, is technically, although I don't know that you'd ever be charged, but who knows, technically you are spraying these people with a pesticide. So an overzealous prosecutor or something like that could, try to make a case against you for doing that. I don't know that would happen. It would seem not very commonsensical, but it's possible. So Some of the advantages, like we kind of already talked about with the self-defense spray, is that it's more intense, it's more immediate reaction, and using it to stop a violent attack. That's what it's designed to do, and it does it very well. The other thing is it's more portable. You know, bear cans, you got to have at least 7.9 ounces or whatever, so it's a bigger can, you know, and chances of you having that on you when you need to, it's not very good. But anyway, I just wanted to throw this video out because there were several folks who had questions about it, so I spent some time today looking it up. I'll put the links of what it was that I was looking at in the description down below. You guys can check that out. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I just kind of wanted to throw that out there so you'd be aware that bear spray is not as effective as self-defense OC spray or pepper spray. You know, especially on a one-on-one type basis. It could potentially be used for scattering crowds and stuff. I think that's just my opinion. But again, I wouldn't do that unless, you know, the rule of law had kind of, you know, been done away with and it was an SHTF kind of situation or something. So anyway, guys, if you are already subscribed to this channel, I really appreciate it. If you're not and you like wilderness survival videos, disaster preparedness videos, and outdoor gear reviews, then please click the subscribe button. And for those subscribers, go ahead and click the bell button down there and you can get an email notification every time we do new uploads. And I really appreciate it if you guys do that. Also, I definitely appreciate it when you click the thumbs up button, when you share it with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. And don't forget to live the 6 Ps. Proper prior preparation prevents poor performance. Stay safe, guys.